Hey guys, and welcome to the video today. And today we are going to be teaching you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And this one is the 3x3 Rubik's Cube. So you got 3 across, 3 down, and that gives you 9 total on each side. And then 6 sides, of course, for a cube, 6 different colors. And usually people hold the white on top with the main emblem here to kind of remind you. And yellow is on the bottom. And you have 4 sides here, and you have these centers. These centers do not move. They kind of stay still. If you could open this thing, you would see that they were all connected there. And it's just these cubes and sides that move around those middle pieces as you go and as you try to solve the puzzle. So the first main move is going to be a right algorithm, and that is 4 spins. It's right, which is clockwise, and then it is up, which is clockwise, and then it is right, which is back at you for counterclockwise, and then it is up, which is counterclockwise, and I usually just hit it with this finger up here. And those are the 4 moves. So it starts with a right clockwise, and up clockwise, and then a right counterclockwise, which people say R prime, or there's this little symbol for R prime, which means counterclockwise, and then up for counterclockwise as well. So I usually just kick it like that. So you'll want to get really good at the right algorithm. They call it the right alg, and you'll want to be able to do that without even think about it. So you might want to pause it here and just keep working on this. Right kind of pushed away from you, up kind of like you're screwing a jar in for clockwise, back to right, which is counterclockwise, kind of bringing it back into you, and then up counterclockwise as well, pushing it this way. And just keep doing that until you get it to be second nature, because a lot of these solutions that we're going to be using today just uses the algorithm righty and lefty. And if you do that algorithm 6 times and you have a solved cube, it'll go right back into the solved position. So it takes 6 cycles of that to maneuver around the whole cube. And basically, you're only dealing with the right and the left, and you're cycling cubes around and down here and back up. And every time it cycles, the cube the piece flips and kind of changes its orientation and the way the colors align, so that you can move pieces around the puzzle here without kind of disturbing this part of the cube, which comes in really handy. And then we have the left algorithm, and I'll try to put those on the screen as well. Left is kind of the same thing, only on the left side, and only you're starting with counterclockwise first. So you do L prime, U prime, meaning counterclockwise, and then LU, which is clockwise. So on the left side here, you're kind of pushing it away from you for counterclockwise, and then you're going to the top, and you're kind of like unscrewing a jar going counterclockwise, then back to the left, bringing it to you, and then to the top, kind of like you're screwing in a jar, which is clockwise. And so you just kind of keep doing that and get really good at that. You might want to pause it and do it, but left, you kind of push it away, back up to counterclockwise, then bring it back towards you, and then clockwise. And just do that a number of times until you get really, really good at that. Some people are very fast. I'm pretty slow at it, but the more you practice, the faster you'll get and the more efficient you'll get at it as well. So definitely take the time to do that before we kind of continue, so it'll be really easy for you to remember how to do that, and almost like second nature. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this mixed up and get started here. I think we got like 6 6 or 7 steps to get this fully solved. And sometimes you have to do a couple of the steps a few times to really get it going. Just because you have to move around pieces, sometimes you'll get lucky and sometimes you won't. So you might have to do steps a couple of times to get it. So get a cube nice and mixed up here. And just remember, white is usually have an emblem that's on top, and yellow will always be on the opposite side of it. Whole bunch of edge pieces, and then 4 corners on top and bottom here. Alright, so the first move is to make a daisy, and they call it daisy because we're going to flip it on the bottom using the yellow circle here, and you're going to put a white piece on all 4, making it a petal. So you just want to find your middle pieces here, and usually it's only 1 or 2 moves. Like here's one, I could just flip that around, grab 1 petal on my daisy here, and just find a couple more. Here's another one. Oh, but it's on the same one I used, so you have to move it over here. Whoops, this one right here. Then you kind of go, what was that, counterclockwise, and then bring it up into position. And then just kind of find a couple more. Here's another one. We'll have to work that through. Bring it down over here. Around through the middle and flip it up. Yes, I mean sometimes you have to do it 3 or 4 times just to get another petal up there. And obviously some people are quite a bit faster than I am. And then spin that one around. Alright, so you find your daisy pattern, and that is the start. Then next step, you will have corresponding colors underneath each one of the petals. What we're trying to do is line up the middle piece with the color underneath the petal. So we'll grab this red over here and we'll line that up. Ultimately, we're going to then take this, do a 180, and we're going to be making a white cross down here, which is the next step. So yeah, once you do that, you get that petal lined up with the edge piece and the middle piece. You do a 180 and flip that down. Then you rotate to the next side and work on this petal. Move the top piece around till you find another one, and we got that lined up right underneath that petal, and flip that down to a 180, and you can see we'll have 2 of our cross pieces down there. Alright, now flip it over to this petal. Got to line up that orange with its middle orange, do a 180, flip it down, and our last petal here, which has a green underneath it, move that to the green center piece and do a 180 and flip it down. And now we got our white cross with our 2 colors lined up underneath each part of that cross. And then the next step is to get the appropriate corner in here right by your white cross. So you'll just have to find a piece down here that fits into that area. So here's a white one with orange and green. Let's move that to where it needs to go. You want to move it to right underneath where you're trying to go. So here's our piece. We're trying to go here. We got an orange on this side, a green on this side. Best thing to do is flip it right underneath that, and then work on the right side so we can do the right algorithm, which will eventually drop it into the right position into the piece by our white cross with the correct colors. So that's why you're going to get really good at doing the right algorithm, and just keep doing that until it finally drops it into place. And a lot of times it'll drop it into the place, but it's not in the correct position, so you'll just have to keep cycling it through. But this time we are in the correct position, so those line up. Now let's look for another one. This so happens that it is in the correct color, it's just not in the correct orientation to line up. So we can just flip this down and do our right alg, and it'll start cycling this through, and flip that around and get it to match up for us eventually as long as we keep doing the right algorithm correctly. See how it's in there, but it's still flipped. Not quite the way we want it. Do the right algorithm again. Getting closer. And that time we have it. So now we have those lines up. We have those lined up. Got two more to do. Here we're going to need the white, green, and red. Let's find that piece, and it is over here. Let's line that up right underneath where we're trying to go. Kind of flip it over so that we can do the right algorithm and get it to drop down in there in the appropriate orientation to match the others. Okay, keep doing that until you see it's solved. And we're looking good there, so we just have to do that one more time and we will be done with this step. Looks like we already have our piece that we need to drop in here and get rid of this piece. So we will cycle through with our right algorithm. The piece is in there, but it wasn't orientated right, so just keep cycling through as it starts to work its way. Still not orientated right. Oh yeah, that goes through there, and then keep doing it. Probably one more here. Yes, and we are looking good. So I kind of call this the Tetris step. You got the 3 here. Your middle kind of looks like a Tetris piece. All lined up with all your whites up top. And then we are ready to flip this guy over and finish up the second layer. So here, what we're trying to do is bring a piece here and put it either in here or here. So there's a special series of algorithms. It's a bunch of rights and lefts to get that to line up. What you want to do is just pull in a piece that matches and also matches over here or over here. So this orange does match over here. So pretty much we want to put this one here and boot this guy out, which will knock him up here. So basically we're just transitioning these guys. So when you're trying to go right, you want to move your piece away from where you're trying to go. And if you're going right, then you do your right algorithm first. And if you're going right, then you also flip it. So now we're looking at the right face, and then you do your left algorithm, and we should be good. So push that away from you, unscrew the top, bring it towards you, screw in the top. So that effectively put that there and booted that other piece up top. I think it's that one there. And you just got to keep doing that. But it is a little bit different when you're trying to boot something out of the left position. Let's see if we can find one of those for you here. And this green and this red right here need to be put into this spot and kick this guy up to the top part here. So when we're trying to go left, you start with your left algorithm first, but you always start by moving that piece out of the way, over here before we start doing our algorithm. So you move it opposite of where you want to go, so it's sitting right there, and start going with your left algorithm. Alright, and then instead of going facing right, you want to move it and bring your left side over to the new face, and then do your right algorithm this time and complete that one. And then that will move the piece in. So now we're looking really good on this side. We just need to do the same thing on that side, and we will have our 2-layer complete, the top and the middle layer. So let's bring this over here, and we need to move this and kick that one out. So we will move it away from where we're trying to go. We will do the right algorithm first since we're going right. And then we will flip the face and do our left algorithm. And flip it again. Alright, and then we just need to do that one more time. And so you can kind of pick your preference. Do you like kicking it to the right, or do you like kicking it to the left? We might as well do the left one here. if we can. Oh, doesn't look like we might not be able to, because we need this piece right here, which lines up on the blue. We need to kick this guy out. So move it to the opposite side of where you're trying to go. Start off with a right algorithm. Rotate it here to the right face. You know, we would do the opposite if we were going the other way. And then do your left algorithm. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that we have our 2 layers solved here, top and the middle layer, time to move on. Like I said, probably about 60% of the way done. A couple more steps here. We're going to be working with just the yellow side, and we're going to be trying to get a yellow cross here. So when you're at this stage, there's usually a couple positions that you're going to see. One would just be the dot. If you have just the yellow dot and none of the petals or cross parts lined up, then you're going to have to do these next 2 steps, but you're going to have to do both of those steps to finally get your yellow cross. You could just have a line. If you have a line, which I don't, but if you did, you would keep it horizontal like this. You would do a front face clockwise. You would go over here, do your right algorithm, and then flip the front face back to where it was, and then that would give you your yellow cross. Here, since we have a L shape, this is the third thing that you would see. You would either see the dot, you would see the yellow line going across, or you'll see this L, which is what we have. And instead of doing the front face one and then doing your right and then moving that front face back, for the L one you actually have to move both of them to the right, like this. Do your right algorithm as you normally would, and then bring them back to get your yellow cross there. And then if you just had the yellow dot, you would have to do the front that way, do your right algorithm, and then it would give you the L, I believe, and you would have to do it this way. With the double move, right algorithm, and then double back over. So I'll put that on the screen as well. So now that gets you the yellow cross. Okay, so we have our yellow cross here. And we need to see if we have any edges that line up, or corners I'm sorry. So it does look like this one lines up pretty well. We're not so concerned about the orientation of the cube or of the piece and the colors, just as long as the colors are the correct colors for that corner. You know, so this one's correct, this one is not correct. This one is correct, you know. We're not too concerned that it's flipped around and not in the right way. And then this one is not correct. So we have to do some moves that flip-flop 2 pieces and 2 pieces here until we have these in the right orientation. Just as long as the colors line up. They can still be a little twisted in there for sure. So you want to get the 2 pieces that you're trying to work with and line them up on the right side. You know, since we need to move this one as well, it's probably best to just line these 2 guys up, because when you have the diagonal issue, you have to do this step a couple of times to get to flip-flop the 2 pieces. But line up the side you're trying to work with on the right, because we always start with the right algorithm, and what you're doing is 3 right algorithms, and then you're going to rotate it right and do 3 left algorithms. So let's get started on that, and we'll do a right algorithm 1 and 2 and 3. Flip it to the right, and then we do 3 lefts. So that's 1, 2, 3. See if that kind of helped. Usually you have to do that a couple of times here. These two on the right. 1, 2, 3. Flip it over. 1, 2, and 3. Kind of see what we got here. Yeah, those look good. Now we just need to switch these two. So one more time. Usually you don't have to do it that many times. A lot of times you get lucky, or you just need to switch these two. But going diagonally, you have to do it a couple of times to get them to line up. So now we just need to flip these two and we will be good. So do it 3 times. That is 2, 3, flip it, go to the left. That will be 1, back, and that will be 2. And there we go for 3. And let's see if we're looking good now. Yeah, those colors line up, those colors line up, those colors line up, and those colors line up. And so even though they're not orientated right, they're still in the correct position. So now this next step is how you get the yellow to face up. So it looks like we're going to have to fix 3 blocks. We're trying to get all these 3 to have the yellow sticker on top. So flip the cube over. Always try to have the cube you're working with down on the lower right, as we usually do. We'll do a right algorithm until we get this to finally show a yellow on the bottom, and then you load another cube in there. So you kind of keep doing it, wait till you get a yellow, then load another cube, and just keep doing that until you've loaded them all to be yellow. So we'll start, put your cube you're trying to change there, do a right algorithm. Okay, and that got it in there. And the cube will look a little bit messed up during this step. You know, it should arrange itself correctly, you know, as we load this new die in here. Because we just made it so that the yellow faces up. Now we got to load the next one in there and keep doing that right algorithm. You know, and it starts to look a little bit better over here as we continue to do this. And try to, every time you load a new cube down there, make sure it still kind of lines up so it kind of tells you you're doing it correctly. Let's switch this one and then we'll load the next one. So you just keep doing the right algorithm until you see that yellow facing down. Just do all steps of it. The cube's looking good. Still not right side. Let's try this again. Nope. Okay, yeah, those colors line up, which is good. We got that yellow to face forward. Now let's load the next one. Move it over. There, now we just have to flip that one by continuing to do the right algorithm. Not yet. Let's see. Whoops. Forgive me. That way. Almost. There, finally. Okay, so now we have all the yellows down there, and you can just reorganize the cube as it should be here. Okay, so now that we have all the yellows on top here, you know, and you lined it up, you see that we have a couple edge pieces that don't match up. We have one that does match and look good. And that's what usually happens. Usually you get one that matches up. or none. But it looks like we have 3 that do not match up. So this last step, you want to have the actual correct one in front of you. And sometimes you'll have to do this step twice to get it to work. And it has a lot of just back and forth algorithms because you go 1 right algorithm, 1 left algorithm. Then you go 5 right algorithms and 5 left algorithms. So there's a lot of moves in this one to get this one. These pieces to swap out, and sometimes they don't swap out perfectly, so you have to do it again. But hold the piece that is correct in front of you, or if you don't have any, then I don't think it matters. But hold the one that is correct in front of you and get going on 1 right, 1 left, 5 rights, 5 left. So we'll do 1 right here. And then our 1 left. Okay, and then we have to do 5 rights. It's always good to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll know you're doing good when the colors do line up after you've done that step, and you know you just have to do the left to get those colors to line up. So now we have to do our 5 lefts. Whoops. That is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 more, and there we go. So yeah, they all lined up, and we have a solved Rubik's Cube, and just practice a lot of those algorithms. And then as you're watching yourself do it, you will see how the pieces cycle around, and you'll be able to kind of do this without following algorithms and just kind of start placing them by knowing how the pieces move throughout the puzzle. Hope this helped, and you guys take care.